your man, Louie T. Welcome to Thursday Night Football Overtime. Seahawks, Cardinals. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I will take Seattle on every Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday night or Monday night every week. They should be on every single week on primetime in some capacity, because every time they're on primetime, we get a good football game that comes down to the last possession. Every time they've been on primetime this year, and even in the past, when you think about some of the most memorable games, the Fail Mary, all those Seattle games. What about the Calvin Johnson bat the ball out of the back of the end zone game with Detroit? Seattle. You know, what about that Buffalo game on a Monday night one year? Seattle. Okay? Like, when you think of some of those memorable Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night games, Seattle comes to mind. And what about this year in itself? They flexed them to Sunday night because of a COVID outbreak with the Raiders when they were supposed to play Tampa. And so we got this game the first time up in Arizona. Classic. We turn around a few weeks later and get it when we were supposed to get it on a Thursday night. Another really good football game. The Minnesota game on a Sunday night was awesome. I'm probably forgetting a game with Seattle, but I remember the New England game. That was a Sunday night game, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. That was a 30, 34, 30, 35, 30 Sunday night game. Down to the last play, Cam Newton running quarterback draw. They always play these types of games on primetime television. And I've always said, to a lesser degree this year because of the lack of fans in the stands, but I've always said, never, ever bet against Seattle on primetime television at home. I bet against them earlier this year in Arizona, and I was on the right side of that. Arizona got it done, even though they were losing that entire game. But at home, never, ever go against Seattle. Even though there aren't fans in the stands, which usually is the reason why you do that, they're still a tough team to beat in Seattle. They were on a 2-game skid. You knew that they were going to be hungry for this one, and they came out and they got it. A lot of penalties in this game for both teams. I thought it was a sloppy game from that standpoint, especially Arizona with the false starts and things of that nature. The officials missed a couple. Seattle had a damn near whole team false start, and they didn't even call it on the third down. Luckily enough, Seattle didn't convert there, so it didn't make a big difference. But you got to give credit to Seattle's defense tonight. Really have to give credit to Seattle's defense. Really, the last 2 weeks, even though they didn't win the game last week, the defense kept them in that ball game. Despite turning it over 4 times, they were in that game and only lost by a touchdown, 23-16. So you can see this defense getting better. Are there still problems? Absolutely. You bet your ass there are some problems still with this defense. But I made fun of the Carlos Dunlap trade. He came up huge tonight. Dunlap played his best game as a Seattle Seahawk tonight. And what did we say about this team? You know, it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, they can't get stops when they need to get stops. Well, they did it against Dallas. It wasn't pretty, but it was gritty, and it was a dub. Got a stop at the end of that game when they had to have it. They preserved the victory. The Minnesota game wasn't pretty, and maybe their running back missed a massive cutback lane that maybe you, me, and anybody else watching could have found and run up and got the first down, but that doesn't matter. They got the stop. Russ did the rest. They won that game. Defense got a critical stop. Here, tonight, they needed a stop. Defense stepped up, got a critical stop. So you say what you want about this Seattle Seahawks defense. No, they haven't been good this season. If they don't win big this year, a lot of people will point to that defense. And probably rightfully so. However, they looked a lot different tonight and even last week. And the additions of Jamal Adams coming back from injury a few weeks ago, and Dunlap, and don't forget, They added Snacks Harrison to kind of beef up that run D. This looks like a different defense. I thought the linebackers played tremendous tonight. KJ Wright, Bobby Wagner. I thought they were all over the field tonight. You had KJ Wright on a big third down. Murray decided to keep it. Should have gave it to the running back, Chase Edmonds. He decides to keep it. Murray tries to give him the okie doke. He doesn't fall for it. Tackle for loss. They got a punt. It's a massive play. Massive play. Bobby Wagner was everywhere. Jamal Adams is a problem. I remember when that trade was made, I had a lot of people tell me that that was too much to give up for a safety. And I said, you know what? In a normal circumstance, with normal teams that know what to do with first-round picks, I'd agree with you. But it's Seattle. They're going to be good. As long as Russell Wilson is upright, they're going to be good. That's going to be a back end of the first-round pick. And oh, by the way, the Seahawks don't have any clue what to do with first-round picks. They're much more comfortable selecting a guy in the 5th, 6th, or 7th and getting undrafted guys than they are making a selection in the first round. They're very uncomfortable with first-round picks. So why not just give them away? And, oh, by the way, they're at their best defensively when they've got a free safety. Well, I shouldn't say free safety because this guy's always around the ball, around the line of scrimmage. They're at their best when they've got safeties that can play. And, you know, a lot of people didn't talk about that Quandre Diggs trade. When I remember when it first happened last year, and Darius Slay was pissed off because Matt Patricia traded away Quandre Diggs, and he was one of the vocal leaders in that Detroit locker room. And the reason they traded him is because he had a powerful enough voice in that Lions locker room that people would listen to him, and he didn't like the way that Matt Patricia was going about his business in Detroit, and he was spreading venom in that locker room, whether right or wrong. A lot of people. He wasn't the only one. Golden Tate wasn't a massive fan, which is why they traded him. A lot of people weren't fans of Matt Patricia's way of doing things. I just read an article last week about a lot of people not really huge fans of Matt Patricia in Detroit. However, things are starting to change. They've gotten all of the people that didn't believe in Matt Patricia and the way he was doing things, and we'll see if it turns into anything for them. They're one game under 500, and they got a very winnable game this week on the road against Carolina without Teddy Bridgewater, more likely than not. So we'll see what they decide to do there and if they're able to get it done. But they traded Quandre Diggs for essentially a half-eaten banana. A half-eaten, unripe banana. Who the hell wants that? The ones that are all slimy and nasty, don't even taste like a banana? One of those. A half-eaten one. And I remember Darius Slay being pissed about that trade. And I don't think people understand how good of a football player, how physical of a football player Quandre Diggs is. You saw him tonight. And I've watched this guy come over and kind of change that culture in that secondary because he hits people. He's small, but don't let that fool you. Quandre Diggs will hit you in your mouth. I've seen him ejected out of games for physical play. He put a hit on Dan Arnold tonight, dislodged and separated man from ball. He had another hit. It could have cost his team because they were going to have to punt. That was a stupid penalty, but that's how Quandre Diggs plays. He plays fast, he plays physical, and he's a leader. No one talked about that trade. That was a big trade. So now you add him into the mix, him being Jamal Adams with a Quandre Diggs, and all of a sudden it changes that secondary dramatically. And so I told anybody that would listen, you can't convince me that Seattle didn't win that trade. And we'll see what ultimately the Jets get out of those 2 first-round picks. We'll see what they get. We'll see what Joe Douglas does with those picks. But immediately, Seattle gets better. And I don't know about you, the window of opportunity doesn't stay open forever. Even though Russell Wilson still got a lot of great years of football left in him, the players around him may not. And you can't pay everybody. You got to try to win now. That window is open for Seattle. You got to go, and you got to go for it now. And if you can win a Super Bowl because of a guy like Jamal Adams, and you saw his impact tonight. You've seen his impact. You saw his impact last week, forcing a fumble. You see what this guy brings to the table. Don't tell me he's not worth a first-round pick or 2, especially for a team that doesn't know what to do with first-round picks, like spending them on guys like L.J. Collier, who wasn't actually bad tonight. Forced a safety with the holding penalty in the end zone. Questionable as to whether that penalty actually occurred in the end zone. I thought it was the right call. Or on guys like, what's the tackle that had to come in tonight from Texas A&M? Cedric Ogbuehi. Like, they don't know what to do with those first-round picks. So just let them give them away. They'll be fine without them. Trust me, they'll be fine. You know, what's the running back that they drafted in the first round a couple of years ago that can't ever stay healthy? Out of San Diego State? I can't remember his name. You know who the hell I'm talking about. They don't know what to do with first-rounders. Jamal Adams is worth the price of admission. And he changes his defense drastically because you don't know where he's going to line up. You don't know where he's going to be. And you don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to blitz? Is he going to drop? He's a problem. He was a problem tonight, and he's going to continue to be a problem. And I thought that for the first time this season, and to a degree, a lesser degree last week, I saw a Seattle defense that had life. That has life. I don't know if this is a small sample size and this isn't something that you can extrapolate over the final 8 games of the season. I don't know if or 6 games, of the season or into the playoffs. I don't know if this is something we can expect moving forward. But I just know that this isn't the same defense that I saw against Minnesota or Dallas or Buffalo even 2 weeks ago, or early in the season against New England. That couldn't stop a nosebleed. This doesn't look like the same group. And you can credit the trade for Dunlap, the re-addition into the offense or defense from injury of Jamal Adams, the addition of Snacks Harrison to that defensive line. Guys are just playing better. I don't know about you, but DJ Reed is playing some good football over there at the cornerback position. I remember watching him, scouting him when the 49ers took him out of K-State. He's playing good football. That play at the end of the game on Isabella, that was a big play. So they're getting good play out of guys. I remember scouting Ugo Amadi when they drafted him and saying, I don't like this pick. I don't like this guy out of Oregon. And he's playing tremendous football for them in the slot. Like, they've got good pieces if they can just all come together. Got to stay healthy. They got to stay healthy. They can't afford to have Jamal Adams go down again. They can't afford for Quandre Diggs to be out. Can't afford for anybody along that defensive line to get injured. They can stay relatively healthy. This is a group that has a chance to turn it around. And I'm not asking for them to be lights out. That ship has sailed. Those days are gone. Just be formidable. Just don't be awful. With the way this offense can move the football, that Greg Olsen injury is massive. And I know exactly what it is. Well, I shouldn't say that, because I didn't sleep at the Holiday Inn last night, and I'm not a doctor. But I've watched enough Greg Olsen over the years to know anytime I see him hopping around like that, it's not an Achilles, it's not an ACL, it's his foot. If you're a Panthers fan, then you know exactly what it is. You've seen this before from him. It's his foot. Every year, he breaks his foot. It seems like he has some kind of foot injury. Plantar fasciitis, or he breaks his foot, and he's hopping around. I bet any amount of money, I could be wrong, but I bet any amount of money tomorrow we'll find out Greg Olsen did something to his foot. It's broken again, and he's done for the season. And honestly, that might be it for his career. And it's a shame because he was a really good piece for them. That's why you saw Russell Wilson go over to him as he's writhing in pain on the ground, and he's asking him, is he okay? Because he knows how big of a part of this team and offense Greg Olsen truly was. Greg-O! I may not get to say that many more times. So let me get one more in. Greg-O! Seattle's, and I have to do the promo one more time because I don't know what I have to do. Maybe I have to pray to the football gods. I don't know what I got to do because for $1.5 million a year, you can get a hard-charging, physical, reliable, dependable running back. For just $1.5 million, you can have Carlos Hyde. Why doesn't anyone want to love Carlos Hyde? Won't you love Carlos Hyde? I don't know why no one will love Carlos Hyde. He should still be in Houston. Why doesn't anybody love Carlos Hyde? I love Carlos Hyde. He's a quality NFL running back. Why won't anyone love Carlos Hyde? Just for $1.5 million. He'll run hard for you. He'll pass protect for you. He'll catch it out of the backfield for you. For $1.5 million, Carlos Hyde will be a lead back for your football team. Won't you love Carlos Hyde? I don't know why anyone won't love Carlos Hyde, but they sure didn't miss him. With no Chris Carson and none of those other backs that have been banged up this year, Chris Carson has been out for a while. Carlos Hyde was massive tonight. And I can't think of a time when Carlos Hyde hasn't looked good. I don't understand why no one wants to love this man and why he doesn't get the just due that he deserves as a quality running back in this league. But he was massive tonight. He was massive tonight. Huge for them in this football game. And so, you know, it was funny. Everybody was making a lot out of the turnovers for Russell Wilson. And I told you what it was. I told you on the podcast last week. He's pressing. He tonight, I think last week, he realized. Because they didn't lose that game 38-16. They lost that game 23-16. I think last week, he realized, I don't have to win this thing. Now, again, it wasn't that way before. Last week was the first time that they didn't give up 30 plus. It seems like in an eternity. Might have been since like week 1, maybe probably the Dolphins game. Like, what was that, week 5 or so, whatever it was, week 4, week 5, when they played the Dolphins on the road. That might have been the last time they didn't give up 30 in a game. Like, they've been giving up 30, it seems like, every single week. I don't know what the Vikings scored. It was close. It might not have been 30. It was close to 30. Last week was the first time that I think he had a chance to take a step back and say, I'm doing too much. I'm not giving the defense a chance. And I'm trying to win the game on every single decision, every single throw. I got to just allow the game to come to me. But more importantly, the defense is good enough to help us win if I don't make mistakes and put them in bad spots. You saw it tonight. Don't make mistakes. Don't put the defense in bad spots with turnovers. And they're getting better. They can help. They can help. It's a far cry from the defense we saw over in Buffalo at Orchard Park a couple of weeks ago that couldn't stop Josh Allen and that offense from just running through them like a hot knife through butter. Russell Wilson is fine. You know, the whole turnover talk and all that, it's comical. He's fine. This offense is going to be just fine. As long as they stay relatively healthy, that Greg Olsen injury is big. And I think he's done for the season. I think he broke his foot tonight. But outside of that, they're going to be just fine. And if they could get this defense, they could bottle up what they did tonight and even last week against the Rams. If they could bottle that up and uncork that every week, and then when they're done, bottle it back up, they're right back in contention for a number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs. Because the one thing that we said they weren't good enough at, and that was going to stop them from being the team that we thought they could be, was their defense. Again, we don't know if this is a mirage or if this is who they'll be moving forward, but this is 2 weeks in a row. Now, I get it. It's family business, too. And that also must be taken into consideration. Family business. They know the Rams. They know the Cardinals. So, we'll see. Didn't stop the Cardinals from scoring 34 on them last time, or 37 or whatever it was last time they met, though. So, I digress. Seahawks get the win 28-21, advance to 7-3 on the season, snap the 2-game losing streak, and now sit atop the NFC West division by a half game over the Los Angeles Rams, who will be taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday night. That should be a dandy as well. And so they could be in sole possession of first place after that game on Monday. We will see. As for the Cardinals in this game, the first thing you have to think about is the health of Kyler Murray. He took a spill early in the game, fell on his shoulder. He was obviously in some pain and discomfort throughout this game, grimacing visibly throughout the game when he would have to throw the football. So obviously your first attention after this game, damn, we lost, sucks. How's Kyler Murray doing? You're hoping that it's not anything serious because remember, we've seen something like this before with Sam Darnold on a Thursday night versus the Denver Broncos, where he gets slammed down. Remember, he left the game. We thought, oh, man, probably broken clavicle or something. He's done. And he comes back, plays the rest of the game, looks fine, and then misses 3 weeks after that, 2 or 3 weeks. So Kyler guts through this injury, plays the rest of the game. Your adrenaline's flowing. You're able to tolerate the pain. Then your blood settles. The swelling sets in, and you can barely move your shoulder. So hopefully it's not serious. Hopefully it's not. It's probably a sprained shoulder, if I had to guess. Hopefully it's not a serious sprain. Nothing more than a grade one. Nothing serious. And hopefully he'll be ready. They have this extra time. Because it's a Thursday night game, they'll have extra time for him to rest. Hopefully he'll be ready to go for their next game versus New England. But to me, that's the first thing you worry about if you're a Cardinals fan. Then the next thing that you are concerned about is the penalties tonight. And if I'm not mistaken, Arizona is one of the most penalized teams in the league. And those penalties, those were backbreakers tonight, especially the Drake Kirkpatrick penalty. Because you were going to force the Seahawks to have to make a tough decision. They were about a yard or two short of the first down. They were kind of in no man's land. Whether you punt that or you go for it. If I had to guess, I'd say they were going to go for it. But who's to say what the hell they were going to do? You'd like to force them to have to make a tough decision. Well, Drake Kirkpatrick made that decision easy for them. All the penalties that they had tonight, they were really able to overcome most of them, except for that Drake Kirkpatrick penalty that led to points, and then the safety. Those were 2 costly penalties. How about, 3? Because the intentional grounding came first. That's what put them on the 2-yard line to then set up the holding penalty and give the Cardinals. Because I was sitting there thinking to myself, the Seahawks are going to lose this game. Anytime a kicker misses an extra point early in a game, don't tell me as a football fan you don't sit there and say, that's going to come back to haunt them. Especially if they're playing somebody good. If they're playing a bum, you're like, oh, okay, whatever. But if they're playing somebody good, you're like, they're going to pay for that. That 1 point is going to be the death of them. Either they go chasing those points later in the game and don't get it, or they're going to lose this game on a late field goal, and you're going to be saying, there's that one damn point. I thought they were going to lose this game 24-23. I kid you not. When Seattle punted for the first time in the second half, I said, there it is. There's that damn punt. That's just one that they needed. They got it. And I said, they're going to lose this game 24-23. Haven't led all night long, and they're going to let these guys because if you look at all of those drives, it wasn't a quick strike offense for Arizona, and it usually isn't. When they hit big plays, it's abnormal for them. They're a methodical, if you've watched Arizona, they're a methodical offense. It's not 65 yards. That Christian Kirk touchdown against the Cowboys, that's an anomaly for them. That's not what they do. It's 2 yards, it's 6 yards, it's 8 yards, it's 12 yards, it's 2, it's 5, it's 6, it's 6, it's 1, it's 1, it's 5, it's 12, it's 18, it's 4, and then they get in on a Murray run or a Murray touchdown pass. And then you look up, 6 minute, 17 second, 17 play, 82-yard touchdown drive. They had one of those in the second half. They had 2 long drives, an 11 and a 17. So I was looking at that last drive. I think he fair caught that ball at around like the 11 or so. And I'm saying they about to put together one of these 18-play drives. They're going to force Seattle to use their timeouts. And they're going to kick a walk-off field goal from 27 yards out and beat them 24-23. And that damn extra point is going to come back and bite them in the ass. And then you get the intentional grounding. and the holding on consecutive plays. And I was like, whoa, that's massive. Because you take that 2-point lead, you double it, and now you get a free kick. And I'm thinking they're going to at least get a field goal off this free kick. And what did they do? Moved it down the field and got a field goal off that free kick. So that put it at 7. So now the field goal is taken out of the game, and now you need a touchdown just to have a chance to tie it. They still had their chances. They had their opportunities. Seattle tried their hardest to piss it away with that damn toss. I did not like that play call at all. To Carlos Hyde, that almost got recovered by Arizona. But they had their opportunities. They just didn't take advantage of them. And you got to give credit to Seattle's defense. Seattle's defense. You really do. Because they had opportunities to give up some plays tonight. And honestly, if not for some of those penalties, we talk about Arizona's penalties, Seattle's not a heavily penalized team. They were heavily penalized tonight, and those were some costly penalties. You had the Bobby Wagner 15-yarder. That was going to be an 8-yard loss on first down. It's going to be 2nd and 18. Now, one thing I can say, Arizona was in plenty of long down and distance situations, and they converted almost every time. You know, there were a couple of 1st and 15s, 2nd and 20s in this game, and they would just get a chunk play. 18 yards, 3rd and 2, and they convert. You know, 1st and 15, incompletion. Now it's 2nd and 15, 13 yards, 3rd and 2, convert. So I don't know if that was going to kill the drive, making it 2nd and 18, but you damn sure would like to find out. How about the penalty on the safety that I was talking about, Quandre Diggs? Massive. That was a punt. Massive penalty. You're up. I think at that point of the game, I think the score was 16-7. You had them right where you wanted them, dead to rights. They punt that. They were deep in their own territory. They punt that football. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and we can't say this is what would have happened, but after they scored that touchdown, Seattle went right down the field and scored a touchdown of their own. If you don't have that penalty and they score that touchdown, it's 23-7. Now you're in the danger zone. So they had some big penalties of their own tonight, did the Seattle Seahawks. But when it's all said and done, the Patrick Peterson penalty was huge because that led to a field goal. Should have been a touchdown. I don't know how DK Metcalf let that ball hit him in his face. That was definitely a 101 mile an hour fastball with hot sauce to go from Russ. Okay. So from that standpoint, I'm like, hey, that one probably got up on you pretty quick, but you got to see that one coming. You got to defend yourself. Can't let the ball beat you up like that. That looked like it had every chance to be a Terrence Crawford technical knockout there with that one hitting him in his face. But at the end of the day, that was direct points. The holding penalty was direct points. The intentional grounding helped set up that safety for direct points. Too many costly penalties on the part of the Arizona Cardinals tonight. And you got away with one because the DK Metcalf big ball early in the game, that was not holding on Damian Lewis. He just got his ass ramrodded on that play. He just got ran over. He didn't hold him. I hate when officials do that. When they see a guy fall down, they just assume, oh, he pulled him down. It's got to be a hold. The guy got destroyed. His hands weren't even on the defender when he fell. There was no hold there. Just got his ass worked on that play. They just threw the flag. And that's why the football gods gave you the penalty at the end of the half with Patrick Peterson. That was ticky-tack. But it was the football gods righting a wrong. You got away with one early. They had to make amends. And so that's why they didn't let DK Metcalf catch the touchdown pass. Because they said, hey, the DK Metcalf big ball, that was only going to put them in the field goal range. It wasn't going to necessarily guarantee them a touchdown. It's not like that was a 75-yard touchdown that was called back. It was just going to put them in field goal range. We don't know what would have happened after that. So what we're going to do is we're going to rectify a wrong. We're going to give you back your field position, give you a chance to get your field goal back. We can't guarantee you a touchdown. And that's why DK had to have the football hit him in the face. Because the football guy said, we don't have anything to do with that. We're all even, Steven. And that's what the football gods always do. They always even things out. So it was a fun game to watch. Arizona had too many self-inflicted wounds in this game. Too many penalties, too many mistakes. But they kept things close. I got to give them credit. There were a couple of times in this game where I thought Seattle had the momentum and had a chance to run away and hide. And for whatever reason, they were able to make plays. I thought that their rookie, Isaiah Simmons, looked damn good tonight. And some of his best work has been done against these Seahawks. Remember, he had the big interception in overtime versus Seattle. He had a couple of nice tackles tonight. He had a sack of Russell Wilson tonight. He's starting to come on. He's starting to get it. The light bulb is starting to come on for him. Vance Joseph is finding creative ways to use him. He's getting better in this defense. And how about that little creative package he has where he takes all their defensive linemen off the field and it's nothing but DBs and linebackers? He's on to something there. You're going to see teams, I think, start to adapt that. Like, nobody else is really doing that, but that's pretty damn clever. You know? Because you want fast guys on the field on third down, period. In whatever capacity you can get them on the field. And on third downs, where you got a dynamic quarterback that can move, you want to get after the quarterback, but you also want guys that can run. That's a pretty damn smart thing to do. And you know this is a copycat league. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see some other teams adopt that strategy, especially when you're playing a Kyler Murray or you're playing Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson, where you just say, you know what, to hell with having big nasties on the field. If it's 3rd and 8, they're not running it more likely than not. They're not going to run the football. So let's put a bunch of fast guys on the field. That's something to look at moving forward. But I digress. Let's get to the comments here. So J. Man writes, go Seattle. Because strength of victory tiebreaker with all the 6-3 teams, it could come down to the strength of victory for the Bills. Yeah, you're thinking big picture, and you're thinking about how your team can find a way to get the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. We'll see. Seattle's going to take care of business. You don't have to worry about that. Seattle's going to take care of business. You just need to worry about yourself. You take care of business and win the games you're supposed to win, and everything will take care of itself. If it's meant to be, it'll be. Niners fan writes, Hopkins would have made that catch Isabella couldn't make. Maybe. You know, it was a tough play. You had a defender in DJ Reed stick his hand in there, rake that football out. You had Quandre Diggs coming over the top as well. Hard to say if he would have made that play, but, I mean, we've seen him in much tougher circumstances come down with the football. So I can't argue with that, you know, but Murray was under duress on that particular snap, and he had to get rid of the football. He saw his guy winning towards the corner of the end zone. He let it rip. JP says, give credit to Seattle's defense at the end. If it wasn't for Dunlap, Arizona would have probably won this game. I don't know about that, but Dunlap was huge in this game. I thought this was by far and away his best performance as a Seahawk. And I'll take it a step further and say that this defense doesn't deserve credit for just the end of the game. I thought they had a really good game overall. You know, 21 points given up against a very dynamic Arizona Cardinals offense is nothing to scoff at. You know, this is a team that routinely we look up and they've scored 30 some odd points just about every single week. So for them to only give up 21 against them says a lot. Remember, the first time these two teams met, what did they give up? 34, 37? So to hold them to 21 points, you got to give this defense a lot of credit, a ton of credit for the way they played tonight. Thought they did a bang-up job. And as you mentioned, when the game was on the line, the defense stepped up, got the stop to preserve the victory, and give Seattle the win. Captain Spartan says, that's why you disrespect Carlos Dunlap. I've seen him twice a year forever. I knew he was a monster. You were the one that said, hey, Carlos Dunlap is a big, big pickup for Seattle. He will help that defense. You said it, not me. I was a little bit apprehensive to give them any credit for that move. And you were the one that said, Louie T, you're tripping. This guy can help. You were right. That was a monster sack at the end of the game. And it was a really big performance. Maybe this would be the start of him really performing at a high level for the Seattle Seahawks moving forward this season. Protect Sports. Dunlap has been a dog, no cap. Balled out since the trade. Great move for Seattle. No Kizzy. Tell you what, I wasn't all that impressed with him the first couple of weeks, but the last 2 weeks in particular, I thought he's played a lot better. And this, again, by far and away his best performance as a Seattle Seahawk. And so maybe this trade will ultimately prove to pay off huge dividends for the Seattle Seahawks. We'll see. Rich says the Seahawks finally have a pass rush they can actually win. Look, I don't want to jump to conclusions. It was one game, okay? But this is an encouraging sign moving forward. If you're a Seahawks fan, this is what you were hoping for when you made the trade. You know, this is the guy that you were hoping you were going to see, because Carlos Dunlap, up until this point this season, hadn't been much of a factor as a pass rusher. So I thought collectively as a group, though, not just Dunlap, you know, CJ Collier and what's my man from USC that they drafted a couple of years ago? I thought he was active tonight. Kasim Green. Who else? Jaron Reed, who we know can rush the quarterback. One year he had double-digit sacks. Like, they were all active tonight. It was an impressive collective effort. It wasn't just Carlos Dunlap. That's the thing that was so refreshing. It was like, yeah, Dunlap was awesome, but he had help tonight. Like, collectively as a group, I thought they looked as vibrant as we've seen them look as a pass rushing defensive line all season long. So that's, if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, I thought that was really encouraging. Cody _ says, my first comment isn't about this. I think the Colts will win versus us something like 37-13. The defense is really good. Plus, they will run it down our throats, and 17 might be out. I disagree. I listened to Davante Adams talk at his presser today, and he sounds like a man that has every intention of playing now. I know that doesn't mean much because there were earlier times this season where he wanted to play and he was held out of games, but he sounds like a guy that's going to play. I also think you're going to get back Allen Lazard. I know he's been limited all week, but they're excited about potentially getting their offense back to full strength for the first time since week 2. They haven't had Aaron Jones, Allen Lazard, and Davante Adams all healthy since week 2 versus Detroit when they put up 43 points. So I'm looking at this Packers team and saying if all those guys are ready to go, they're going to be just fine. You're going to get some of your defenders back. I think Kevin King is coming back this week, if I'm not mistaken. Looks like the Louisville corner is going to be able to go as well. I think you're going to be just fine. The Colts are good on defense, but I think you're going to be able to do some things. And their offense isn't great. And with you getting Jair Alexander back or him playing and Kevin King, looks like he's on track to play. I think you've got a chance to really slow them down offensively because they don't run. Like if they had a vicious rush attack, I'd be a little nervous. But their rushing offense, now they've got a guy that you know I love in Nyheim Hines, and he can hurt you. But I don't think their offense is dynamic enough to scare me away from going with the Packers in that game on the road. It wouldn't shock me if you lost the game, but you're not going to get blown out 37-13. First of all, the Indianapolis Colts aren't really a 37-point team. You've got to do a lot of things horribly wrong for them to score 37. Now, that being said, they scored 40 against Detroit or 41 against Detroit, and they scored 34 last week against Tennessee. I just don't see that game being as lopsided as you think. Cody _ says, also the new name for CenturyLink Field is freaking trash. I concur. I don't know what it is. It's Lumen, I think it is. Man, is that awful. I mean, is it a light bulb or something? I don't know. It's terrible. I agree. Rich says, DK has hands like Jeremy Sprinkle. Sprinkle me, bitch. Sprinkle me. Also, Seattle DB stepped up at the same time with the line, and I mentioned that. Their secondary was extraordinary tonight. DK's hands were questionable coming in. I think his hands have gotten much better. I haven't seen a ton of drops from him in the league like I thought I was going to coming out of Ole Miss, where drops definitely were an issue. I think he's done a really good job catching the football at this level. Every now and again, you'll get a drop. Absolutely. I saw him drop a deep ball a few weeks ago. Every now and again, you'll get a drop. But more times than not, he's coming down with the football. So that one was weird because I don't think he picked the ball up late or he got on him faster because, like I said, Russ, because they were dropping in the zone and he knew he was going to have to zing it in there, Russ threw that one 101 miles an hour. I think he kind of was in because it wasn't necessarily in that range where, as a pass catcher, if you've ever caught balls consistently, at a certain point you're here, all right, and then at other times you go pinkies down and you cradle it that way. I don't think it was low enough to be in that kind of like, which one do I do? Do I catch it with my body? It was up around the face. That needs to be hands. I think he lost it or something. I don't know. Gregory Lightbody says, man, they love to talk about DK Metcalf in this game. The man's good. The man's good. And they talked about him a lot because of, one, what he did the last time these two teams played with the chase down of Budda Baker. But also, he only had 2 catches in the game the last time. That's coming on the heels of damn near being shut out by Jalen Ramsey against the Rams and not having a ton of targets. He's too good of a receiver to only have, 3 or 4 targets in a game. That's ridiculous. That's insane. It's the same thing I say all the time about Nuke Hopkins and some of these other receivers. Like, if you've got a guy that's a true number one in this league that's a difference maker, I don't give a shit who's covering him. You got to get him attempts. You got to give him targets. Like tonight, Nuke Hopkins didn't get enough attempts. He only had 8 targets tonight. 5 catches. That's not enough. It's not nearly enough. So that's part of the reason they were talking about DK a lot tonight. And he's a freak. Captain Spartan says, don't be surprised if Seattle runs the table. Eagles, Giants, Jets, Washington, Rams, and 49ers. I wouldn't be shocked if they did. They're getting the NFC East portion of their schedule now, So there's some wins in there. A 49ers team that's all kinds of banged up. Yeah, Jets. They said they got the easiest schedule, and if that's it, what you're showing me, that looks like the easiest schedule in the league. Only one winning team on this schedule remains, and that's the Rams. So I won't be shocked if they run the table at all. Rich says, Patrick Peterson is done. It is official. He hasn't locked up anyone since his injury, or was it a suspension last year? He is fresh. He is a fresh 2-pack of ass to me. He's not that bad, man. Like, he's lost a step. That's apparent. But he's not super ass. He's not cheeks, okay? He can still play at a very high level. But he's not the travel across the formation, go anywhere, and lock a guy up corner like he once was. Now, that being said, I think he can still run with bigger receivers that have a little bit of speed. Not DK Metcalf, bigger receivers with a little bit, because DK doesn't have a little bit of speed. He got a lot of speed. I'm talking about big guys that can run a little bit. Patrick Peterson can play with those guys. It's the fast, shifty jitterbug receivers and the fast receivers that give him problems. If you're a big guy, like for instance, Michael Thomas, not the biggest, speed guy in the world, Patrick Peterson can stay in his hip pocket. Let's see. Trying to think of another receiver with some speed. Like he struggles with guys like Stephon Diggs, for instance. Fast receiver, quick off the line of scrimmage. Tyler Lockett is another guy. He struggles with guys like that. They're fast enough, they're quick enough to give him problems. But the bigger guys, he can stay with them. Mike Evans, he'd run with Mike Evans all day long. Like, he'd lock Mike Evans up. Or at least be there with him. You know what I mean? Like, he's not washed. He's got good football left in him. You just got to pick your spots with him. Protect Sports says, can Seattle win the NFC? It seems like the pass rush and overall D has gotten better with Snacks, Jamal's return, and the addition of Dunlap. Absolutely. This is the thing, though. So it's a small sample size. Like, let's not go overboard and just crown them and automatically think the defense is fixed now. Let's see what the defense does over this. Look, we just talked about their final stretch. Eagles, Giants, Jets, Washington, Rams, 49ers. If that's the final stretch, and I have no reason to doubt Captain Spartan, he's usually pretty accurate with things like that. If that's the final stretch, then they should be locking these teams up defensively. If they're truly back, the Eagles shouldn't be doing work on them. The Giants don't have a great offense. The Jets are one of the worst offenses in football. Washington is a team that hasn't scored 30 all season long. The Rams, they just held them to 23. So if they see them again, you would assume at home they should have similar, if not better results. And then the 49ers, they're done. So let's see. You got all the opportunity in the world to build confidence with this defense with that schedule coming up. Let's see if they do it or not. Ali Side says, Lou, I still don't trust this Seattle defense, but they are improving. I think they look good tonight because they played against a division rival. And that's what I caution people with. It's family business. They know Arizona. And so just be careful. There were opportunities that were missed. How about DeAndre Hopkins wide open on a second down Murray throw where he scrambles out of the pocket to his left and he just puts it out in front of him too far? He would have been running for days on that play. There were some misses in this game. So I'm not going to crown them. If you want to crown their ass, then crown their ass. I'm not going to. But I will admit, and I will acknowledge that this defense looks significantly better with some of the upgrades that they've made and Jamal Adams coming back from injury. Reese says, Lou, I just want to wish you and yours a lovely and safe Thanksgiving. Have fun, old friend. I'll see you soon. Likewise, Ree. It's always a pleasure, man. Hopefully you're able to spend that time with the ones you love and do the things you love. I talk about the 5 F's every year for Thanksgiving. Nothing changes. I'll talk more about that tomorrow on the podcast because I believe that'll be the final podcast before Thanksgiving. So definitely wishing you and yours a happy and, as you said, a safe Thanksgiving as well. JP says, good to see Isaiah Simmons making tackles tonight considering he's been invisible most of the year. Yeah, he struggled to start his rookie season. You know, I remember first game of the season, him getting broken off by Raheem Mostert on an arrow route and it pretty much going downhill from there. And, you know, they didn't really trust him. He wasn't seeing the field well. But the game is slowing down for him, and he's playing with a little bit more confidence. And he's going to be a good football player, I think, when it's all said and done. Reese says, this Patrick Peterson is a jag, Lou. Just another guy. Pat P in his prime doesn't blow that assignment on Lockett. It's crazy. He used to be such an electrifying player. Well, that's what Father Time does to you. You know, you can't stay young forever. And as I've told you many a times, the cornerback position is no country for old men. All right, it's one of those few positions on the field that as you get older, you become a liability, more of a liability. And Patrick Peterson is one of those guys that had the rare combination of size, speed, and physicality and quickness coming out of LSU. He's gotten older. He's since lost a step. He's not as fast as he used to be. And that happens over time. But he's still a quality corner in this league. Don't make the mistake of thinking that he can't still play. Man should have had 3 interceptions last week against Buffalo. Seriously, he had 1. He should have had 3. So he can still play. He's just not the same guy that he once was. Rich says, Chris Carson needs to come back. Hurting me in fantasy. If you're relying on Chris Carson in fantasy, then your roster isn't all that good to begin with. Sorry. Protect Sports says, happy holidays. Enjoy your bye week, bro. Mad love and wish you and you a great holiday season and end of 2020 going into 2021. Favorite time of the year. Likewise to you and yours, Protect Sports. Enjoy the family, the food, you know, the football, friends, and the faith as I talk about the 5 F's. All the festivities, man. All the F's. have at it. Just do it responsibly. It's a different time right now in these streets. Protect yourself. But looking forward to that bye week. I definitely need to recharge the battery. So I'm looking forward to this bye week. No doubt about it. You guys are going to miss me, though. I know you are. Captain Spartan says, heck, even New England players aren't a fan of Patricia. Rob Ninkovich says he used to ignore him and just go straight to Bill for advice. Apparently, Matt would put him in bad positions. I've heard a lot of things about Matt Patricia. There's some people that go to bat for him, like Ricky John Francois is one of those guys that continuously goes to bat for Matt Patricia, swears by him. And anybody that will tell you, even the people that don't like him, will tell you that the guy's a genius in terms of a defensive play caller. He gets it. He understands what works, what doesn't work. But he can be his own worst enemy, too, because he's one of those guys that does think he's the smartest guy in the room. You have to do it my way. There's no compromise. That was the problem when he first got there. I think he is easing up a bit in a Tom Coughlin type fashion now where, remember, Tom Coughlin, when he first got to New York, was this hard ass. He was a stickler. If you're on time, you're late. And a lot of guys were rubbed the wrong way by him. But, by the time they won that first Super Bowl, he had won over the locker room. He had eased up a little bit, and his players started to love him. I'm not saying that's where they are in Detroit with Matt Patricia, but I know that players are starting to come along and come around to the way that he does things. And, I was reading that article by Bleacher Report about, some players past and present talking about how they would practice or how they do practice. He said that's their new norm now. Like, guys, when they first get there, like, do you guys do this every day? And this is the thing. Patricia is taking the New England Patriots model, and that's what we see all of these Patriot disciples do. They take that winning formula, bottle it up, and take it with them wherever they go. We saw in Miami. How many guys wanted out of Miami when the new regime came in with Brian Flores? How many guys did they trade? We saw one tonight in Kenyon Drake, Minkah Fitzpatrick. How many guys did they trade that didn't want to be there because he came in and he changed everything, and they didn't like it, and they were working really hard and they weren't winning games, and that's the problem. That's the biggest problem I see with the Patriot Way, is that Bill Belichick can demand whatever the hell he wants, because just like Red Bouye on Waterboy, when somebody tries to question him, all he has to do is this. Get out of my face. Okay? So when Bill Belichick tells you this is how we do things, that's how the hell you do things. Because there's winning behind it. There's substance to it. When Matt Patricia tells you this is how we do things, and you've been in 3 different spots, and where you've been elsewhere, you've won. Maybe not a Super Bowl, but you've won. And you didn't have to do things nearly as hard as they're doing it. And you're getting your ass beat and your brains bashed in every other week. And you've been there for 2 years and all you've done is lose. You're like, why the hell do we have to do things like this? Why are we practicing so hard? Why do we have to kill each other? I got no legs on Sunday because we're out here kicking each other's ass Monday through Thursday. And we're losing every week. This doesn't fly with me. So that's the problem. If they start winning, guys will buy in. But when you lose and there's this dictatorship, that shit doesn't sit well. Why do you think Bill O'Brien got fired this year? Because you heard players saying it's a dictatorship. We don't even get to voice our opinion. We don't get to tell him what we think works, what don't work. We have to do it his way. And if we don't do it his way, he gets pissed off. Well, guys put up with that shit when you're winning the division and you're winning 10, 11 games. Go 0-5 to start the season, see what happens. Make all these badass trades. Then that shit you're pulling, that falls on deaf ears. Guys start tuning you out. Now you got to go. The last straw was apparently he got into an argument with J.J. Watt. You don't get in arguments with J.J. Watt. Oh, you got to go. We'll see if Matt Patricia. This is it for Matt Patricia. This game this week is massive. They're 4-5 and they got a chance to get back to 500 on the season. if they beat Carolina without Teddy Bridgewater. If they lose this game and drop to 4-6, they're dead. You can't beat Carolina with a backup quarterback, you're dead. Dead, I tell you. And that might be the beginning of the end of Matt Patricia in Detroit. We'll see what happens. Rich, yes, Rashad Penny is that running back I was thinking of from San Diego State that they drafted in the first round. Rich says, the Seahawks do not need first-round picks. They drafted C.J. Prosise. Now they have Chris Carson, who to me is a top 10 running back in this league when healthy. They don't need first-rounders. I wouldn't have added C.J. Prosise in that conversation. They drafted C.J. Prosise like 4 years ago out of Notre Dame as like a third-round pick, and he hasn't been healthy, and he hasn't done jack shit for them. But to your point, Chris Carson was a 7th-round pick. They don't need first-round picks. They just don't. They've proven that over time. King of the North says, I thought Seattle was going to blow it for us with that stupid toss play fumble. Woo! I was thinking the same thing. King of the North. Like, are they really about to do this? Because if they don't score that field goal, they're going to lose this game. I really believe. If Seattle had recovered, if Arizona would have recovered that fumble, I think they would have beat them in this game. I really do believe that. So I'm glad they recovered the fumble, got the field goal, and pushed it to 7. Worst case scenario, you don't lose this game in regulation. That was the thought process. Rich says, I meant Rashad Penny. Okay, got you. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. All right, that makes a ton more sense. Captain Spartan says, you're right, the defense is putting it together, but do you think it'll be enough in the playoffs against teams with other elite offensive teams? Mainly talking Saints, Bucks, and Packers. It could definitely be enough, for sure. The question is this offense still playing at a high level? And can they sustain enough offense? Because, see, sometimes, you know, what we do as fans is we just look at the defensive talent and, you know, you think about, is this good enough? Sometimes, you know what the best offense is? Or the best defense, rather? Just keeping them off the field. You know, Seattle is at their best when they can run the football. We talk about Russ and letting Russ cook and all that shit is great. And I like Russ when he's in control and he's able to do the things that he's been able to do this year. But when Seattle's at their best, at their core, they're running the football. They're being balanced. That's why Carlos Hyde was so impactful tonight. Because this offense, for the first time in about 3 weeks, looked like themselves because they were able to consistently run the football. When they run it and they eat up time of possession and keep this defense off the field, that's going to help them as well. So I think they've got enough, personally. I do. Reese says, Greg Olsen, that guy's a warrior. I've seen my team play against him many times and I've always respected him. I hope his career isn't over. I hope so either, but I hope it's not either. I remember watching the All or Nothing with the Panthers his final year in Carolina, and he was contemplating retirement, and he had hurt his foot again. And I remember him saying, I don't want to go out like that. You know, I didn't want to go out injured and have that be the lasting image of my career, me being carted off the field or me hopping off the field. Well, it happened again. So in my mind, I know he loves the game. I know he loves to play, and I know he can still play. And I know he thinks he can still offer a team like Seattle something. The question is, does he want to go through that rehab again? Is it worth it at this point of your career? He's got small kids. Does he want to go through the hassle of having to go through that entire rehab process to get back out on the field again? Or is he like, okay, this is the final straw, and I'm just going to go right into my broadcasting career? Because he's got a bright future as a broadcaster. So we'll see what he decides to do. Rich says, let's get one more Grego. Grego! Hopefully it's not the last, man. That's my guy. Reese says, Rams Chiefs are the next two on the docket, Lou. We have to win one of these games. If we lose both, we'll be fighting an uphill battle. You're going to win on Monday. Don't worry about it. You're going to win on Monday. Juan Gotti talking sports. Can I get a, let me drop this gem on your melon? Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T.E.E. Let me open you up. thinking a little bit. We'll be doing some of that tomorrow when I drop that gem on your melon. Appreciate you, Juan. Got it. Rich says, Carlos Hyde was a 1,000-yard rusher last year in Houston. He should still be there with D-Hop, of course. Absolutely. I just don't understand what Bill O'Brien's fixation was with going away from what works. Look, I know him and DeAndre Hopkins didn't have a great relationship. And D-Hop wanted more money. And they weren't in a position to pay him. I understand that. But he didn't have a choice. Either you play or you get fined every day that you don't play. He was going to play. He can be mad all he wants. I'm not trading you. And I'm definitely not trading you for that bullshit ass haul. If I'm trading you, I'm getting at least 2 first-round picks. Their back wasn't up against the wall. It's not like this guy hadn't signed a franchise tag and he was just dangling in the wind and they needed to get something for him. This man was under contract for the next 3 years. What are you doing? You didn't have to give him away. You give away a player when you're like, look, either we trade him now or he walks away for nothing in the offseason. Let's just get something for him. And a team knows either you're going to cut this guy or you're going to lose him in the offseason. So they know, hey, your back's up against the wall. Here's what I'm going to do for you. I'll give you, this is what I'm giving you. Take it or leave it. You weren't in that situation. You didn't have to give him away. Either he was going to play for you or he wasn't going to play for you. And if somebody wanted to trade for him, and I get it, not only were you going to have to trade for him, but you're going to have to pay him. He wanted a new contract. That's not my problem. That's so not my problem. Either you're going to give me what I'm asking for and tear up his contract and give him new money, or you're just not going to get him. I wouldn't give him away, though. Reese says, Carlos Hyde has been in the friend zone his whole career. He's a guy who bends over backwards for a girl, or in this case, a team, and he's only thought of as a friend. Always the case, man. I just don't know why no one will love Carlos Hyde. And I've been cutting the promo for him for years now. 4 years I've been cutting the Carlos Hyde promo for $1.5 million. And I've been running it every year. And I thought he had finally found a home in Houston. I was so happy for him. And then they don't re-sign him. What the hell, man? I don't get it. I don't get it. Rich says, Carlos Hyde should have a home. Can I get a what more can I say? What more can I say? Carlos Hyde should have a home. A permanent home. Nothing else needs to be said. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Rich says, put a painkiller on that shoulder. He's going to be fine. We'll see. Easier said than done. Rich says, can we please admit Patrick Peterson stinks? I can't let this slander go on. Is he the same Patrick Peterson he was 3 years ago? No. But then again, what 30-year-old corner is? Let's find out how old Patrick Peterson is, shall we? All right. I'm gonna look up Pat. I guarantee you he's 31. I'm gonna put 31 on him. I could be wrong. I'm gonna put 31 on Patrick Peterson though. Let's see. He's 30. He'll be 31 in July. So I had it right the first time. 30 years old. He's a 30-year-old corner. There's a lot of mileage on those legs, man. He's not trash, though. He doesn't stink. Cody _ says, they are the most penalized team in the league. I knew it. I wasn't sure if I heard that a couple of weeks ago and if it was still true now, a few weeks later. But I've watched every Arizona Cardinals game this season, and that's a common theme with them. Very undisciplined, a lot of unforced errors, a lot of mistakes that put them behind and down in distance. That's one of their biggest problems right now is penalties. They got to be better. Alex Smith says, John Bostic starting on the team next year or Project 11. John Bostic is not going to start for this team next year. I think he'll still be on the roster, though. Rich says, some fun facts today. Russell Wilson's the most wins in his first 9 years of anyone in NFL history with 93. Cardinals have 70 penalties this year. Crazy. Yes, very crazy. They're on pace for right around about 130 or so, if that's factual, at 70. They've played, 10 games? They're 6-4. So 7 penalties a game. Extrapolate that over the next 6 games that they have left. 6 times 7 is 42. So that would put them on pace for 112 penalties. A lot of damn penalties, man. A lot of damn penalties. Marvelous Track says, after seeing how strong the NFC West is, will there be 3 teams in the playoffs in that division? Rams, Cards, and yeah. I think we've already come to that conclusion unless the bottom falls out of one of those teams. 3 of them are getting in. I think we came to that conclusion a couple of weeks ago. The NFC is not a strong conference. Not like the AFC is top to bottom. The NFC is top heavy. But at the back end of the NFC, there's a little wiggle room. So you're getting 3 teams in from the NFC West. Because the way it's breaking down right now, 3 from the West, 2 from the North, potentially 2 from the North. Let's just go with 1 for right now. 3 from the West, 1 from the East, okay? 2 from the South, 1 from the North. That's how it looks right now. Chicago, the bottom's falling out of that. They're not going to make it to the playoffs. Minnesota's making a hard charge. Don't sleep on them. Not going to give up on them yet. But they got a long way to go. You're only getting 1 out of the East for sure. And don't sleep on the Falcons, but I think it's going to be too little too late for them as well. Although I think they can win on Sunday. I'm not picking them to win, but I think they can win on Sunday. But right now as it stands, 3 in the West, 2 in the South, 1 in both the North and the East. That's the breakdown right now. It could change, obviously subject to change. Reese says, Kenyon Drake is great, Lou. He can do so much for your team, although his jersey number makes me want to vomit. I always cringe when I see a skill player rocking 40, especially a running back. Like, we got to do something about that. Even some of those 30 numbers are a little sketchy at best, but what can you do? All right, let's get out of here. We've hit our hour mark. I got some other things I got to take care of. It was fun chopping it up with y'all. Great game. 28-21. Seahawks get the win. Big time win for Seattle. Couldn't afford to get swept by the Cardinals this season. The division has gotten really tight. Every team came into the week at 6-3. Seattle breaks that tie, takes the lead back in the division. Even if it's only temporary, we'll see what happens with the Rams on Monday night. They got a tough task, a tall order on the road at Tampa. But at 7-3, with the schedule that the Seahawks have remaining, if true, my man Captain Spartan told me they've got Eagles, they've got Giants, they've got Jets, they've got Washington, Rams, 49ers. If that is true for their final 6, they will be favored in every single one of those games and big in some of those games moving forward. So Seattle has a chance to finish up the season at 13-3. It's very realistic looking at that schedule. They'll probably lose one more game somewhere in there. But they put themselves in the driver's position, in the driver's seat with this win tonight. Because I still don't trust the Rams. And the Seahawks, the Cardinals, while they're good, they are capable of losing a game or two that they have no business losing. We've seen them do that this year, like Detroit. I'm not saying they had no business losing to Miami. They shouldn't have lost to Miami. And those were at home. So they got no business losing to some teams that they shouldn't lose to. So they're going to lose more games is what I'm telling you. So I think Seattle's in the driver's seat now. They just got to take care of business. Big win for them. Tough loss for the Cardinals. Check on the status of Kyler Murray. If you're Arizona, check on the status of Greg O, even though I think I know what it is with him. And also, they had a lineman go down in this game. Did Seattle. Hopefully he's okay. We'll see what happens. Bottom line is, they're victorious. They're now 7-3 and now atop the NFC West once again. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me. If you haven't already done so, what are you waiting on? Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, okay? Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also, hit that like button on the way out and support your man Louie T. Speaking of supporting, we got merch. You see me rocking the LTN hat. We got hats, we got beanies, we got hoodies, we got shirts, you name it. Link down in the description. All right. Gonna have a promo code for you tomorrow on the podcast. So if you're thinking about purchasing some merch and you just needed a little nudge, I got a code for you to get you. Let's call it. I'm in a great mood. Let's call it 25% off. You're going to do that, man. 25% off. So be on the lookout for that. Cop you some merch, man. Support the LouieTeeNetwork. Looking forward to chopping it up with you guys tomorrow. And we will have the Sunday night game and the Monday night game. And then your man Louie T is off for the bye week. And then we'll come back and hit it hard down home stretch. So looking forward to chopping it up with you guys on Friday for the pod, Sunday for overtime for Washington and the Sunday night game, Chiefs, Raiders, and then on Monday again for Rams, Bucks. Should be fun. In the meantime, you guys, take care. Have a good one. See you guys next time. Adios.